Nah, so this is a town hall. This is a time for us to pretty much get a glimpse at the state of the church, to understand what's going on. Obviously, we're in the middle of a pandemic. This is a time for you guys to also ask questions. So if you guys are curious to see what's going on, what's upcoming, what the pastors have to say of the state of the church right now, this is pretty much the time to do that. So if you guys do actually have questions, there's a YouTube chat with our live stream that you guys can put those questions in on real time, and then I'll be able to ask our pastors as they're officially on the hot seat right now. Hot seat. All right, let's see. Oof. So, Frank, we'll start with you.
Yes.
Frank, the first question is, the last 6 months have been different for us as a church, but we are relaunching on November 8th. What does that mean, and how is that different from the last 2 months since we've been back?
Yeah, appreciate the question. Appreciate you guys staying and getting a sense of where we are and where we're headed as a church. So, all along the way, we have tried hard, worked hard as a church to make wise, faith-filled, and clear decisions based on the limited information we have, realizing that anything could change at any time. And that has been a challenging place to be. That's a challenging place to be able to lead from. And I think it's been reflected in some of the decisions that have been made. And even with our Sunday morning service, it's been like for 3 months we were stream only. And then we went to 2 Pioneer services to test things out, went back into streaming mode, and then in fall launched a Skeleton Awakened service with no awakened kids, social distancing, masks being required, and a number of limitations on our ability to fellowship with one another. And yet, with the mask mandate, at least in the city of Jacksonville, expiring next week, actually, the question came up is, hey, is there anything that could potentially change in our church? And so we've been taking a look at that, and the answer is yes. So starting on November 8th, we're going to be relaunching our Sunday morning services with a few changes. One will be, so the Awaken relaunch will be new standards. So with the expiration of the mask mandate, we're also as a church not going to mandate what our government will not. We're not going to try and enforce what the government is not. And so we still are strongly recommending that our people wear masks. I think it's a good idea. That being said, we're not going to require it. We're also going to say that we're going to still enforce social distancing with the exception of like mutual consent. So hopefully what we want to do as a church is we want to build the idea that we respect one another. And out of respect, we're going to honor each other's space. And so what that idea of mutual consent means is if both of us are okay with it, then it's okay to high five, shake hands, or maybe even give each other a hug. We're just going to say, make sure that consent is mutual, right? And if you're not sure, just ask. Right? Hey there, would you be okay if I just gave you a high five? Would you be okay if I gave you a hug? And if they say no, then you back off. If they start running away from you in fear, go get some mouthwash. Just kind of be respectful in some way, shape, or form. So that's one. Secondly, with the Awaken relaunch, we're going to open up our Awaken Kids as well. I know that's been a huge limitation for a number of our families. Our families, for the most part, have been like, it's just easier for us to maintain our kids at home. But the Awaken Kids is going to be limited. So we're going to be watching kids up through kindergarten, but first grade and up are still going to be able to, we're going to say, hey, join us in our Sunday service if you want to be a part of our time. So I know that does make it a bit challenging, but we felt like with zero through kindergarten, it made sense for us to go ahead in this season to go ahead and plan to watch them. And for those who have kids that are a bit older and still wondering, well, gosh, it's still really hard to have them be a part of the church service, I'll just share with you our goal is we're going to be redesigning our cafe space a bit, setting up round tables and providing resources, whether that be crayons or coloring sheets or whatever is needed so that you guys can and feel like we can keep our kids engaged and still be part of the service. That does mean for those of you who kind of like those singles and couples and all who like to be in that cafe space that are too cool for school, we're going to move you into this space. Finally, we are going to continue to stream our services, and we totally realize that there are some who, because of health reasons, are still kind of forced to be in that mode. There are some in our church who, because of vision reasons, are going to be in full streaming mode as well. But for everyone else, we're going to strongly encourage you guys to come back and to be a part of our church services. And if there's like, hey, I don't know why our pastors are making that strong push for us to come back, I'll just share that we believe honestly, right, that our church is not a business, it's not a school. It's those types of things, businesses and schools, and they're transactional places, and the church is not. The church is a social and relational space. And what that means is we come together and we meet with one another. We get involved in each other's lives. We want to know about one another. We hug one another. We watch each other's kids. That's what it means to be a part of a relational community. And that has been an important and essential element of church that we believe has just been a bit lost over the course of the past 6 months. And we believe it's not only important for us to be able to maintain and sustain that type of community, but we believe biblically this is where God wants you as well. And so for your sake, we want to encourage and challenge you all to come back. It's for your good as well as ours. So hopefully that tackled that question.
No, it definitely did. I didn't know that you were covering so much, to be honest with you. I was like, oh, wow, okay, check that off. Got that question. All right, so Andrew, recently our staff team just called everyone in the church to connect with them. What were some of the trends that came from those phone calls?
Yeah, that was really cool, just talking to a lot of different people. It's actually the second time that we've done it throughout this whole kind of weird COVID season. And one of the interesting things, talking to singles, to couples, to families, is this idea of we just really miss fellowship. Like, it's taken a big hit. We're not able to just be around our friends as much. I think one of the things that, as Frank was sharing, for us as we go more fully open, as we say, hey, we want you to connect with us. There is going to be risk there, but one of the things we want to let you guys know also is all of our home groups are up and running right now. Some of them even have a virtual option, and that's just something that we have always wanted to, as a church, to say that we're not just about a Sunday morning event. But we're about just deep relationships where people can grow with Jesus and grow with one another. For many of you guys here, you know that is part of the DNA of our church. And so with also saying, hey, Sunday morning we're open, we're also saying every small group, every home group that we have right now is open as well. We want you to come and build your lives with people. Build your lives in God's Word. And that is all open as well. And some of it even looks a little different, right? Things look a little different, and it's something that even some other home groups have kind of challenged themselves with, is just what might it look like to maybe not be okay with being around everybody, but still having like a watch party on Sunday mornings. We're still having home groups. So right now we even have in a couple neighborhoods kind of like house churches that watch our show. Watch what's going on Sunday. It's not a show. Forgive me. But that's so exciting. Oh, gotcha. Thanks. So that's really exciting, and just want to invite you guys to that as well. That in this time, yes, can be a scary thing to feel like I don't really have fellowship. Awaken wants to provide that fellowship to you, and so we want you to come, be relational with us, be part of who we are.
Awesome. So Frank, you were speaking earlier about the church relaunching and that people want fellowship.
Yes.
But what are some of the needs that are going to come with that? What are some of the needs that entails with the relaunch and the fellowship incoming that people want?
Yeah, I appreciate the question, Christian. So when we think about the idea of serving, I think what's really important for us to realize is that as a church, we've always been the type of church where every part is necessary for the functioning of the whole. We are not a church and have never been a church that's been built on the staff doing everything, and that's not what we believe the biblical model of church is. And so because of that, what we've seen over the course of this pandemic is that a number of us have gotten out of the rhythm, healthy rhythm of serving, and the responsibility of serving has fallen on fewer and fewer shoulders. And especially in the case of our volunteers, that's become a really challenging and heavy weight over this period of time, right? And they've accepted it, we've accepted it, but we certainly want to see our church moving back into a healthy place. And so what that means for us practically as a church, we always believe that every part is necessary. We want our people to be involved in the process of serving. So basically, I'm not just in church getting, but I'm also giving back. And so we want people to serve in areas of need and serve in areas of passion. So passion is always going to be a bit unique. I'd love for those of you who feel like I would love to jump back in and discover a healthy rhythm of serving, to be able to approach us and say, hey, these are areas that I'm really excited about. Is there an opportunity to do so? I just want to share from a pastoral side, there's also some areas of need. And for those of you who I'm not sure, but I do have availability and I'm willing, we'd love for you guys to jump in areas of need. Specifically, I know we do have needs in our greet and hospitality teams. I think one of the fun challenges of reopening on November 8th is to be able to make people who are coming to our church feel at home, to feel cared for and welcomed, right? And part of feeling at home is I can let my guard down, I can feel safe. So that means knowing that the people around me are also watching out for me, that I'm being welcomed and loved and cared for as I walk through the door, being able to experience good hospitality. Those are going to be really key. And so if that's something you're open, you're a people-oriented person and available for, we'd love to have you jump in the mix. Awaken Kids is also going to be a huge area of need. And I want to say something about Awaken Kids. We're going to be needing a few fewer volunteers because we're only going to be watching through kindergarten. But I would love if you're not a parent, so you're a young married couple, you're single, you're Jolt in some way, shape, or form. I would love for you to consider for the next 6 to 9 months, just saying, hey, I'm not the greatest with kids necessarily, but I'm willing to jump in for this season and help with Awaken Kids to free up parents who have been at home over the course of the past 6 months to be able to to be able to free them up to get back into a rhythm with church. So that's something you're willing to consider. Richard Dubé is going to be the one that you want to talk with. Gabby Dunham is also another one that you say, hey, you know what? I would love to help out with Awaken Kids for a season if that's something that's available. So just real quick, that's, again, areas of need. So if it's greet and in the area of greeting, talk to Randy and Carlene Rothert. Hospitality, Anna Zhang would be the one to touch base with. AV and worship and all the different components on Sunday morning, that's Kelly O'Brien. And then with Awaken Kids, it'll be Gabby Dunham and Richard Dubé. So those are some areas of need we would love to have you guys jump into, step into. Are we having? Oh, yeah. Yeah, no.
It's another question for Frank, Andrew. Sorry.
Are you sure we're sharing? No,
Oh my gosh. Cut that. So, Frank, during this time, we've been in a pandemic now for over 6 months. Some of our congregants have been hit hard by that, and obviously the church has been hit hard by that as a result. What about giving? What does giving look like, and what is the church budget looking like right now?
Yeah, appreciate asking. So I'll try and keep this kind of tight as well. I'd say, strangely enough, our church budget really isn't all that bad, but it looks rough. So I'll kind of explain what that means. The good news has been that our spending has dropped significantly over the course of this past year. So a number of things that we projected to have to spend money on has not been as costly because our utility bills and different things, some of those costs have dropped significantly because we haven't used the space as much. So that's good news that our spending has dropped, and thank you guys for a number of saints who manage parts of our budget for being really responsible too, not to spend if there's not been a clear need. That being said, if you're looking at our numbers, we're about a bit over $30,000 in the red. So that is a bit of a challenge. So it looks a bit ugly there. Honestly, I feel like when we look at our church and our community, what I'd love to challenge you guys on are just a few areas, right? I think I think for those of you who've been faithfully giving and tithing and through this season, I just want to say thank you guys so much. You have been faithful and you've been a tremendous example and blessing to our church. Truly, there are a number of churches across the country, and no small number, I promise you, that are having to consider shuttering their doors because their people are not giving. And so we are not a church that's in that boat. We're not going to have to be in that position barring, a complete, total disaster. So that's one. So for those of you who've been giving faithfully, thank you. For others of you that feel like, it's not that I haven't wanted to give, I've just been kind of in wait and see mode, and because I haven't come to church, it's not been as convenient, and I'm not very fluent online, whatever the case may be. We just want to challenge you, please get back into a healthy rhythm. This is important. Not only for the church's sake, but we feel like it's important for you as well. God has taken care of you and blessed all of us more than we deserve for the most part during this time. And I think for us to not be faithful to what he's called us to do just doesn't seem quite right. God has been faithful to us. We, in turn, should be faithful to him. And our giving is one way that our faithfulness is reflected. The last thing I want to say about giving is there may be some as well in the church that are in need. And if you are in that place, I know for some it can be like, man, I just don't feel comfortable asking. We just want to invite you all to please do so. If there is a specific financial need in particular or any other need, we want to serve you as a church body. I know we've taken the initiative to call everyone in our church to kind of just touch base. That is something that we are definitely mindful of. And if there is that need, go ahead and please feel free to share that with us. So,
Thank you, Frank. Thank you. Great answers. We can hand the mic back to Andrew now.
Check. I think
Oh,
we're good.
okay. Oh, you're live now. Hot mic. So Andrew, we have been talking about a church plant for a number of years now, and with obviously the pandemic, it's kind of put that on a little pause, a little sidestep. What is our vision now? Where are we at with the church plant? What news or updates do you have for us on that?
Yeah, so I was talking with another brother in our church, and he was just like, so, this whole COVID has happened. Like, how does that affect, the church plans? Because it'd be kind of crazy, right, to just kind of clap your hands and just say, well, like, let's get back to normal. Let's just jump back where we were and just proceed as if, like, this hasn't really happened. Like, that's not how you reestablish normal. There's a new normal. And so we were talking about it and just saying, it's okay to maybe say, hey, things are on hold or pause for a little bit. And I want to give you guys the language that even as I was praying and processing with God, as pastors of this church, we firmly believe that the right step for this church is to plant in this city. That God has many people in this city that he wants to reach. We're excited about that. We can't wait to see what God will do. But due to a lot of things, that might not be the next step. And there's a difference there. There's a right step and there's a next step. And we don't want to confuse the two. I think when we're looking at a number of things that have happened this year, that the next step, it makes a whole lot more sense for us to get back into a good rhythm of worship, of fellowship, and even just to kind of maybe even let you guys kind of peer beneath the veil, right? Kind of a little revelation. This whole town hall is built around connect, build, serve, reach. So you guys have seen how we want to connect with people, how we want to build with people, how you can serve, but how we're going to reach. And church planting is part of us reaching this city and us reaching this world. But it doesn't necessarily have to be the next step for us. We're firmly committed that it is the right step. And so another two quick things that are pretty awesome as well. Well, I'd say three things. One of the things that God has done. In the last year, God's brought people to Jacksonville. There's people thinking about moving to Jacksonville. We have 3 staff that in the middle of COVID, it's like, yeah, that's a good time to bring on some staff. said no church ever except for Awaken. I'm not. There's probably tons of churches that have. That's amazing that God is doing that, and He's challenging us not just to be like, all right, like twiddle our thumbs. When's the church plant going to happen? But to really work on developing people. The second thing I think that's really important about that is that's one of the things that we've looked at as, hey, in the last 2 years we have waited on God. We still want to wait on God. We're still doing that as pastors. But one of the things that we're also going to be doing next year is we're going to be taking a shot at building our capacity and increasing our capacity of leaders. And so that's really exciting. Next year, we're going to launch an LDP class. If you don't know what LDP is, it just means Leadership Development Program. And it takes people and works with them through character, doctrine, and leadership skills to be the next deacons, future deacons or future first responders in our church. And so we're excited about launching that sometime next year. And that's a way that we are saying is, hey, we're still excited and believe that church planting is the next step for our church. We can't wait to see what God does with that. And then I think the third thing that we're still doing in regards to church planting, we're still praying about it. We invite you to still be praying about it. That fact isn't going away. We're going to be having prayer services. We're going to be having times of prayer where we're going to just be praying about what God will reveal to us as a church, where He wants us to go, who He will send. So we're really excited about that.
And then, Andrew, what can we look forward to from Awaken for the rest of 2020, these last 2 months and change that we have?
Yeah. Well, I say I'm always looking forward to more flavor from Christian. So love it, love it. He and Steven are doing rocking announcements. We did share kind of right that our whole functional structure, connect, build, serve, reach. We want to get people back into some rhythms of fellowship, of serving. But also one thing about Awakening, we want to get people back into some rhythms of fun. Steven shared about the chili cook-off. And then we're also going to have faith walkers. So I'm not going to talk about those things. I'm actually going to invite Steven and Megan to come up and share a little bit about fun. And there's so much more, but they're going to just share 2 highlights. So I want you guys to be able to share.
Alrighty. I get to sit down.
Yeah.
I don't like standing. Awesome. So I am super duper pumped about this chili cook-off. Like I said during announcements, I love chili, so I'm super glad I get to be a judge. I'm planning it, so I chose to be the judge. So there is a $100 prize. So that is big money. Winner takes all. This will be an event that anybody can come to. Bring your friends. It'll be like a potluck style. So we want people that are participating in the cook-off to bring enough chili to feed people. Also, we're asking that the home groups that are represented to bring different sides so that not everybody's bringing drinks and not everybody's bringing chips. We will be having different events like games. So there will be sack race, cornhole, egg toss, and broom races, and there will be a photo op. Also, we do need volunteers to sign up. So there's going to be a sign up with all the things for if you want to participate, if you want to bring a side, then if you want to volunteer. So yeah, a reminder, it is November 21st from 4 to 6 p.m. Thank you.
All right, so I get to talk about Faith Walkers up here. So Faith Walkers is in fact still happening, but this year it is looking a little different because of COVID. So Faith Walkers will be from December 27th through the 30th, and it will be evening sessions only. So one of the cool things that they're doing for Faith Walkers this year in order to encourage community and fellowship is that Tom Short is going to travel to different cities to MC for the night. And so Jacksonville is up to be one of those cities that he comes to. The other great thing about it that I'm really excited about is that we are going to have the church open every single night for everyone to come, and we're going to have a watch party here for each session. So that's what I'm really excited about. And again, it's December 27th through the 30th, and it will be in the evenings.
I wanted this one, yes. Wire free. So just moving to some Q&A, going back to Andrew and Frank. One concern that has been brought up is that people are hearing that it's a strong encouragement to come back to be a part of fellowship, to be a part of the church with the relaunch. However, for those who may not be comfortable with being around people when their masks aren't required, it's just an encouragement. What would you say to those people that aren't, comfortable coming back without a mask requirement being implemented?
Yeah, such a difficult question. So I'll share one or two thoughts, and Frank, you can fill in any holes. I think we do want to encourage our people to continue to wear masks. We're not going to expect it from people. We're not going to enforce it from people. I think it is an act of kindness and love to continue to wear one. I will say that, at some point there has to be for all of us a decision that we make that says, what level of acceptable risk are we going to take? If we're going to be around people in the grocery store without masks, if we're going to be around people at work without masks, what level of risk do we take? And so I can't make that decision for you. I can say that we have invested in technology that allows you to stream from house and to watch from your home. But I also say that that's way different than actually being in service. And I will, many of you might have had a chance to read or to look at, or it might be coming up pretty soon, but our Richard and Jackie, who just had little baby Ryan, so it was awesome. They've been really cautious, but they were able to come to church 2 weeks ago and wear masks. And for them, it was just so beautiful and so wonderful. And so we're not going to expect you to come to church. But we want to encourage you to come to church. And even want to encourage you to say, what might that step of faith look like? But on our end, we're not going to twist your arm to come. We're not going to twist other people's arms to wear a mask. That there is going to have to be some level of trust that we all have as a family together. I don't know if that's the perfect answer to give you. I don't know if it's the best answer. Frank, I don't know if there's any other thoughts that you have.
Yeah, so let me add an interesting thought here. So I think one of the side effects or major effects of this COVID pandemic and quarantining, I was listening to this podcast. Andy Crouch shared this really interesting observation where he said one of the huge problems that have arisen is increasingly smaller circles of trust. And I think that's a really fascinating observation, right? That for all of us, as we've retreated from some of our circles of relationship, the challenge of trust is a big deal. Who can I trust to be around? Who can I trust is going to watch out for me? And I think that's a challenge. And I appreciate, Andrew, what you shared. I do think there is an aspect of it where we want to, as a church, charge our people not to be bound in fear or to not be in a place where we're locking ourselves down and inadvertently separating ourselves from community, which is a danger in this that I believe God does not want us to experience. I'll also share the other side of it, right? That one of the things those who are coming out and for those who are less restricted, one of the things I want to challenge this group to do is to say, go above and beyond in making sure that people around you feel safe, right? If our circles of trust are getting smaller and smaller, one of the things we want to do as a community is to be able to say we are trustworthy. And so I would just say, just be mindful of that, to not be careless, because your carelessness is not simply affecting you, but it's going to be affecting those around you. And if we all have a mindset of loving each other well and respecting each other well, I think we build trust. And trust is the basis for which we can come back together and worship together. I think without trust, everything gets undermined, right? And so at the end of the day, for us, a lot of what we're designing or putting in place is to be able to say, yes, we want this place to be a place where you can feel safe, and that we can trust our people to do what's right, honoring, and respectable. So,
yeah. Wow. I love you guys. That pretty much is everything we have on the Q&A side. That's all I have for you guys. I appreciate you guys answering questions. Appreciate you guys going through and saying things and giving the state of the church and everything that's going on. But that concludes our town hall, but I'll go ahead and...
One quick thought. I appreciate this church thanking and appreciating us, I would be remiss to not mention Dave and Gabby, who labor for the church, who do so many things. I would be remiss to not say how excited and joyful I've been to watch 3 young professionals, Stephen, Megan, Christian, just give of their time, their love, their energy to serve God and to serve this church. And we are so grateful and thankful and appreciative of you guys. I can't think of a better young man to close out this town hall with prayer. So I'm excited to just be in ministry with you, brother.
And we miss our partner in crime, Richard Dubé, as
Yes.
well, who,
Yes.
you know, conveniently missed this time because they had a baby or something. I mean, get out of here. So we love you guys and miss you not being here.
You can't see, but I'm blushing. But I'm going to go ahead and pray us out. God, just thank you for this time, Lord. Just thank you that we have a church to be able to go and worship you at. Just thank you that we live in a country where we're able to worship you freely. We're able to speak about you freely and learn about you freely, God. Lord, I pray for us as a church and a congregation going forward. I pray for safety. I pray for wisdom. I pray that we would enact steps to be trustworthy, God, to enact steps to care about our community, to care about other congregants and then us as a congregation as a whole and all together. Lord, I pray for the rest of our week. I pray for us this year. I pray that we'll just get closer to you and to be the hands and feet of this world. In your name we pray. Amen.